Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jam Vishpad Paramahamsa Parivartikacharya Ashtadarshata Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. We have two problems. One problem is no verse. Another problem is no book.
You got the book. Do you want me to get the book? Yeah, you need the book. You're very organic.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from 7th canto, titled The Science of God, chapter 13, The Behavior of a Perfect Person. Text number 18. So if you could please repeat after me. Na te shayanasya narudyamasya brahman nu harto yata eva bogaha abogino yam tava vipra deha piva yatas tad vada naha chamam chet nate shayanasya nirudyamas. How does it go? Nate shayanasya nirudyamasya brahmanuharto yata eva bhogaha abhoginiyam tava vipradeha pivayatas tadvaranachamam chet. Nate shayanasya narudyamasya brahmanuharto yata eva bhogaha abhogino yam tava vipradeha pivayatas tadvaranachamam chet. Nate shayanasya narudyamasya brahmanuharto yata eva bhogaha abhogino yam tava vipradeha pivayatas tadvaranachamam chet. You open up the door a little bit. Would you like to chant? Would you like to chat? Okay. You're welcome. All right, word by word. Na, not. Te, of you. Shayanasya, lying down. Narudyamasya, without activities. Brahman, O saintly person. Nu, indeed. Ha, it is evident. Artaha, money. Yataha, from which. Eva, indeed. Bhogaha, sense enjoyment. Abhoginaha, of one who is not engaged in sense enjoyment. Ayam, this. Tava, your. Vipra, O learned Brahman. Deha, body. Piva, fat. Yataha, How is it? Tat, that fact. Vada, kindly tell. Naha, us. Chamam, excuse. Chit, chait, if I have asked an impudent question. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. O Brahman, fully in knowledge of transcendence, you have nothing to do, and therefore you are lying down. It is also understood that you have no money for sense enjoyment. How then has your body become so fat? Under the circumstances, if you do not consider my question impudent, kindly explain how this has happened. Purport. Generally, those engaged in spiritual advancement take food only once, either in the afternoon or in the evening. If one takes food only once, naturally he does not become fat. The learned sage, however, was quite fat, and therefore Prahlad Maharaj was very much surprised. Because of being experienced in self-realization, a transcendentalist certainly becomes bright-faced, and one who is advanced in self-realization must be considered to possess the body of a Brahman. Because the bright-faced saintly person was lying down and not working, and yet was quite fat, Prahlad Maharaj was puzzled and wanted to question him about this. So read a few more. Your Honor. Your Honor appears learned, expert, and intelligent in every way. You could speak very well. So the background is that Prahlad Maharaj, a great devotee of Krishna, great devotee of Lord Nrsingadev, he is touring his kingdom, and he's walking, and he sees this man just lying down on the ground, and pretty much he just lies there, and everything comes to him, whatever he needs. So he doesn't have to work, doesn't have to do anything to maintain himself. He's just lying there, and they call this apparently like Python yoga, yeah, something like that. So Prahlad Maharaj, but the person, he's appearing to be very spiritually advanced. Prahlad Maharaj sees he has a special effulgence, he has a special energy about him. So Prahlad Maharaj is now asking him questions. He calls him Your Honor. That's how Prabhupada translates it. So Prahlad Maharaj is speaking to this man laying down like a python. Your Honor appears learned, expert, and intelligent in every way. You can speak very well, saying things that are pleasing to the heart. You see that people in general are engaged in fruitive activities, yet you're lying there, here, inactive. Purport. Prahlad Maharaj studied the bodily features of the saintly person, and through the saint's physiognomy, Prahlad Maharaj could understand that he was intelligent and expert, although he was lying down and not doing anything. Prahlad was naturally inquisitive about why he was lying there inactive. All right, next text, 20. Narada Muni continued, when the saintly person was thus questioned by Prahlad Maharaj, the king of the Daityas, he was captivated by his shower of nectarian words, and he replied to the inquisitiveness of Prahlad Maharaj with a smiling face. The saintly Brahmin said, O best of the Asuras, Prahlad Maharaj, you are recognized by advanced and civilized men. You are aware of the different stages of life because of your inherent transcendental eyes, with which you can see a man's character and thus know clearly the results of acceptance and rejection of things as they are. Purport. A pure devotee like Prahlad Maharaj can understand the minds of others because of his pure vision and devotional service. A devotee like Prahlad Maharaj can study another man's character without difficulty. Okay, one more. Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is full of all opulences, is predominant within the core of your heart because of your being a pure devotee. He always drives away all the darkness of ignorance, as the sun drives away the darkness of the universe. Purport. The words Bhaktya Kevalaya indicate that simply by executing devotional service one can become full of all knowledge. Krishna is the master of all knowledge. Aishvaryasya samagrasya viryasya yashasha shriya. The Lord is situated in everyone's heart. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshurjanatishthati. And when the Lord is pleased with a devotee, the Lord instructs him. Only to the devotees, however, does the Lord give instructions by which to advance further and further in devotional service. To others, the non-devotees, the Lord gives instructions according to the manner of their surrender. The pure devotees are described by the words Bhaktya Kevalaya. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that Bhaktya Kevalaya means Jnana Karmadya Amishraya, unmixed with fruitive activities or speculative knowledge. Simply surrendering at the lotus feet is the cause. It says on the Lord in your book? It should? Okay. Simply surrendering at the lotus feet is the cause of all a devotee's enlightenment and awareness. Sit at the lotus feet of the Lord. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuvanmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karidavachalam Pangam Langate Girim Yakipattamaham Vande Shri Guru Nidachararam Vanchakalpadribhishcha Kripasindhibhyacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Prahlad Maharaj, by his spiritual advancement, by his advancement in Krishna consciousness and him being a pure devotee of Krishna, he could understand that this person lying down on the ground, doing this Python yoga, as Chad termed it, he was an advanced personality, and what does that mean practically? It means that Prahlad Maharaj could understand that this person was detached from the world. He was detached from material activities. He was detached from sense enjoyment or sense gratification. He was seeing the soul within. He was seeing everyone as a soul, and he was seeing the super soul in everyone, or Krishna in the heart of everyone. In this way, this particular devotee, or this particular person lying on the ground, he was advanced. So, as we see coming in this chapter, that Prahlad Maharaj will discuss with him his advancement, how he got to the particular point he's at right now, which is a common question that people ask if you become a Hare Krishna, for example, or if you become like a monk or something like that, Hare Krishna monk, that they ask you, how did you end up like this? What is your story? Because I guess you could, it interests people. They see a American-born person or somebody, and they say, "Oh, how did you become like this?" I get that question quite a lot. I probably get it a few times a week. So similarly, within the Bhagavatam, you have examples of devotees meeting each other, or transcendentalists meeting each other, and they ask that question: how did you come to this stage? What's your history? How did you come to the point of lying here on the ground? This completely transcendental stage. So that will come out more in the chapter. And interesting enough here is that Srila Prabhupada makes the point in the purport of text 21 that a pure devotee like Prahlad Maharaj can understand the minds of others because of his pure vision and devotional service. So it's not that the spiritual master, or it's not that the advanced devotee or the pure devotee is omniscient. It's not that they know everything. Like, for example, one time somebody asked Srila Prabhupada a question: how many windows are in the Empire State Building? Does anyone know? Of course, you could look anything up on your computer nowadays, right? Or your laptop, or your pad. You could say, well, what type of valuable knowledge is that, anyways? Is that going to transform your life, knowing how many windows are in the Empire State Building? But they asked him the question: how many windows are in the? Can you look it up?
110 floors, I think.
Oh yeah. So they asked him that, and okay, wow, it's a lot of windows. So they asked him that, and he didn't know. He didn't know the answer. But what he said was, how many drops of water are there in a mirage? So, in other words, this particular to know all the details of things in this material world is not it's not important, and it's not really what the spiritual master or the devotee or the pure devotee or the advanced devotee is meant. Or they're not really expected to know those things. But what they do know is they know Krishna. They know Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They know the Bhagavad Gita. They know the Srimad Bhagavatam. They know the essence of the Vedas. That they know. But here also it's mentioning that they could also, if you want to say, read or understand the minds of others. But does that mean absolutely? They don't. It means they know what Krishna allows them to know, or what Krishna reveals to them within their heart, what Krishna tells them. That's what they know about someone. So it's not that the devotee is omniscient, which is sometimes a mistake that people make. They may think, for example, Srila Prabhupada is omniscient, that he knows everything that's going on, for example. Sometimes devotees, they raise the question, who had direct experience with Srila Prabhupada, why was it that Srila Prabhupada was asking for monthly reports if he knew everything? Now you could say, well, maybe he was just doing it for the edification of his disciples, but at least the direct disciples who were dealing with Srila Prabhupada didn't think that at all, that yes, Srila Prabhupada, he was just doing it for my edification, but they were convinced that Prabhupada, he wanted to know. He didn't know and he wanted to know. Or what to speak of some of the abuse. I mean, you join a religious movement, you join a political movement, you join Hollywood. Whatever particular movement you join, there's going to be abuse within. There's abuse in the world. So similarly within the Hare Krishna movement, there unfortunately has been cases like that in Srila Prabhupada's time. But if he would have known that, then of course he would have removed people and so many things like that, taken certain steps. But Srila Prabhupada is not God. Srila Prabhupada is a servant of God. And in his own words, he said, of course, we take him as a pure representative of God, pure representative of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But in his own words, Srila Prabhupada said, actually, I'm not a servant of God, I'm trying to be a servant of God. A servant of God is no ordinary thing. So yeah, we have to be aware that sometimes people try to put Srila Prabhupada or their founder or personalities, their leaders, on the level of God. But we don't do that here. Means we don't accept God, Srila Prabhupada, as God. Absolutely, we accept him as Srila Prabhupada termed it, the supreme servitor. How does he say? Supreme servitor, personality, Godhead, or something. Which means he's a very intimate servant of Krishna. So a devotee like Prahlad Maharaj can study another man's character without difficulty. So they have some special power to understand the minds of people and therefore communicate with people in particular ways and therefore help people in particular ways. The pure devotee of Krishna doesn't use his ability of understanding people's minds or his insight into understanding people's minds for any wrong purpose. It's not that he understands, okay, I could tell by looking at this guy that he's going to give some money. I could read it on his mind, so I'm going to come and ask him for some money and then, stack up some cash for myself. But they use it for helping people. They use that ability for helping people. Now, of course, one thing is that sometimes people giving money, that is helpful, actually, to their spiritual progress, because with money comes attachment, and with giving money, you're able to free yourself from that attachment, which is good. So those are some points in relation to that, and in relation, and a couple last points in relation to the last purport, that Srila Prabhupada mentions, Bhaktya Kevalaya indicate that simply by executing devotional service one can become full of all knowledge. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojataha. Anyone remember the last? Yeah. That by engaging in bhakti to Krishna, not some demigod, not one's whatever, pet dog or whatever, but engaging in devotional service to Krishna, what happens? One quickly develops, or it awakens within one, two things: detachment, which is very important because this material attachment is actually a big source of suffering. It awakens detachment and knowledge just by serving Krishna. And again, that doesn't mean you're going to you serve Krishna and then all of a sudden Krishna, he downloads the whole science of calculus in your mind. You're able to do perfect calculus, right? Or it doesn't mean that he downloads the most prominent world history book. He just downloads it onto your mind. It doesn't mean that. But it means that you develop detachment from the material world, and that you develop knowledge in Krishna consciousness. And Krishna in the heart, Ishvara Sarvabhuta Namrideshu Janatishati, Krishna residing within our heart as the Supersoul. As Srila Prabhupada would sometimes say, what is he doing there? Is he lying there like the Python man? He's standing up, but he's not sleeping there within our heart, but he's very active. And he's always trying to give us good direction. Go this way, don't go that way, don't go that way, go this way. He's always trying to give us direction within our heart. So Krishna will give us instructions, and he will give us inspiration to make advancement. Make advancement in the right way. And He will help us become free from these two things that are very prominent in the world. One is speculation, speculative knowledge or speculation. As someone may say that, hey, you take out speculation from your life, and what type of fun is there? What do you think, Sankarshan? Yeah, what type of fun is there? If you can't guess, if you can't make up stuff, if you can't, if you can't just write a book and like whatever your mind says, what type of fun is that? Or if you can't just read a book about, somebody else's speculations, what type of fun is that? Some people think that. But the idea is that Dharmantu Shakshat Bhagavat Pranitam, that the knowledge originally comes from Krishna, and whatever you could find in any other philosophy that is of value, that is good, that makes sense, really you could find in Krishna consciousness. And whatever thing that doesn't make sense or that doesn't add up, you will not find in Krishna consciousness. So in other words, everything is within the knowledge of Krishna consciousness, and there's no real need to speculate or to read so many things or hear so many things of people's just, speculations. Of course, many of the people's speculations nowadays, because there's many books being written all the time, but much of them actually, they do stem from other philosophers of the past. And these philosophers of the past, they also, these means recent past within the last couple 100 years, these philosophies, they also stem from even further speculators in the past of the Vedic conception. So you have the Vedas, you have the sages, and their sages also speculate, by the way. There's many of sages who would speculate. So they speculated out things. And then you have philosophers or thinkers in the modern time who have come up with things. And then you have people nowadays who take from those knowingly or unknowingly. But the idea is that within Krishna consciousness, just to try to understand, to try to investigate, to try to think about the possibility that, hey, maybe the knowledge that's provided in Krishna consciousness is good enough. Maybe it has everything. And then eventually, a pure devotee, they're completely free from it. They just don't speculate at all. They don't care to speculate. They're completely satisfied with whatever knowledge they get in Krishna consciousness. And also, the second thing is fruit of activities, to work just for one's selfish purposes, not really giving, not really helping, just to build up things, collect. So a pure devotee is also free from that fruit of mentality, or just engaging in fruit of activities. So in other words, they give everything to Krishna. They give everything to God. And this, simply surrendering in this way, this is the cause of a devotee's enlightenment and awareness. Does anyone have a question or a comment?
Hare Krishna.
Looks like Chad has something. Tomorrow's verse is 23. That is for Mukunda Charan Prabhu.
Haribol. What about Brahma as far as the acquisition of knowledge went for him? Can you talk about that a little bit?
All right. Well, you have Lord Brahma, who is the engineer of the universe, first person in the universe. So it explains in the Bhagavatam, the first canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, that he found himself on a lotus flower, And then, but it was just dark. There was just darkness. It was just, he had no idea where he was or who he was. He didn't really have any idea of anything much, really. He was confused. It's like if you were to wake up and you were just, like you go to sleep this afternoon, Hare Krishna people, sometimes they take a nap, But let's say one of these Hare Krishna people, they take a nap in the afternoon, right? And then they just wake up and they're like, it's just like darkness everywhere. Their room, they're not in their room, they're not in their Sankirtan car, book distribution car, they're not in their apartment or whatever, they're just like, they're not in the temple, but it's just like darkness everywhere. And then you're like thinking, oh, who am I, where am I? And you look down and there's, what happened when Brahma looked down? There's just like he saw the ocean. He saw the lotus. He saw that he was on a lotus stem. You could imagine a huge lotus stem. And he looked down. I believe he saw the water too, maybe. So, and then he tried to climb down the lotus, but there's no end to it. Then he climbed up and was like, what's going on here? So then eventually he heard 2 syllables, right? 2 syllables. Yeah. 2 syllables 3 times. Ta-pa, ta-pa, ta-pa. Which means austerity. Austerity means to accept some difficulty for progress. Just like people that get up early in the morning, they drive to work. That's austerity for material progress. So tapa, austerity for spiritual progress, waking up early, doing mantra meditation, Hare Krishna chanting in the morning, different austerities we do. So within his heart, he understood somehow that tapa means austerity. And then he started engaging in this meditation process. Eventually, he was successful in his meditation, and it says that Krishna, he just enlightened him within his heart. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. He just enlightened him within his heart with all transcendental knowledge. So that's how Lord Brahma became enlightened. Of course, there's many details to that I'm not mentioning, but it's in the Bhagavatam, the 1st canto. So similarly, Krishna enlightens us within our heart. We perform austerity, we take on difficulty, and Krishna enlightens us. I wouldn't say probably it's not going to be at the same level or the same, speed as Lord Brahma, because that was quite a revelation he had. But okay, Govardhan, and then Virachandra.
Hare Krishna. I mentioned this before, but there was some person at La Jolla Cove, and he was asking me, if I chant Hare Krishna, will I get any, powers? And I said, what kind of powers? He said, I want to be able to read minds. And I said, what will you do with that? He said, I don't know, I want to control people, So people perform yoga, meditation for different, purposes. But I told him, you won't get any of that. I said the Hare Krishna mantra purifies the heart, and then it reawakens your love for Krishna.
Yeah.
And then she says, "Oh, okay." He sounded a little disappointed, But he came around here. Dvija Mani knows him. His name is Jose.
He still comes around?
He came a few times.
Okay.
But I asked him, "Why do you want this power?" And of course, it was due to a woman.
He wanted the power.
He wanted to read minds, and he wanted to control, because he was trying to get with some women.
Wow. Okay. Well.
All day, and then you'll have all the powers you want.
Yeah, just chant Hare Krishna and you get all the powers, and then eventually he chants Hare Krishna, then he doesn't want the powers anymore. And next time, when we see him, we'll tell him.
Thank you for the class. I want to ask you how to avoid this imitation. Is it in the beginning when we read or heard about this spiritual advancement level, and we try to imitate it, and how to avoid it? and how to
Okay.
develop our Krishna consciousness step by step.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we read about these advanced levels, and then sometimes we may try to imitate it somehow. So how not to do that and just move step by step. Yeah. Well, we definitely have to have a good understanding of the philosophy outlined within Srila Prabhupada's books. And we definitely should take the guidance of senior devotees who have been practicing Krishna consciousness for many years to help us understand what's in the books. Just like when you go to college, or let's say you're trying to get your college degree, a college degree, you don't just read a bunch of books and then you're qualified to be a doctor, for example. You go to a doctor's office and they're like, hey, so what's your credentials, doc? And he's like, well, I read all the books. I read about, the 10 major books that doctors read. Oh yeah? Did you did you work with any professor? Did you go to any school? Did you, work with someone like apprentice? Oh no, I didn't do that at all. I just, I read and now I'm ready. Let me operate on you. So to try to understand with the assistance of others who have been practicing it, that's also helpful. Because if we don't understand, then we may do things that are unnecessary. Just like I remember there was one devotee here, one bhakta in the temple, and I go into the bathroom, and we have like a big sink there upstairs. It's like kind of a large sink. You could wash clothes in it or whatever. And not that anybody really does that so much, but anyways, he turned the hot faucet on, and he was having his hand there, in the hot faucet, it's like hot water, like really hot water. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Well, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that for one who has become transcendental, they're able to be equipoise or not bothered with heat or cold." Yeah, so I'm just, I'm testing my transcendence here. I swear to you, he was doing it. I'm not making it up. I never saw anybody else do that before, before him or after him, but he did it. Yeah, his hand was definitely red, So things like that, it's unnecessary. So yeah, or what to speak of sometimes, okay, we may be crying. Okay, we may be a little sentimental by nature or emotional by nature. We may cry sometimes in the kirtan. Okay, that's ultimately that's good, but if we're not having all the different characteristics like detachment from fruit of activity or speculation or all this type of stuff, and then we're crying in the kirtan, okay, there might be some, as Rupa Goswami says, there's what is called a shadow ecstasy due to the association of devotees and so on. So there might be something there. But yeah, we have to be careful not to imitate, to put on a show for our own self-respect or our own. So therefore, we have to be very honest. It's important to be honest in Krishna consciousness, and part of that honesty is just realizing, accepting where we are, and honestly engaging in the process. Okay, we meet devotees, we take up the chanting of Hare Krishna, we get accepted by a spiritual master, we're cleansing the heart through the chanting and devotional process and arta vritti, then we're working our way up to these different higher stages of steadiness and taste and attachment and bhava and prema and all that. So it's a gradual process, and yeah, we just have to be very honest with ourselves. I think that's and not do things to get respect or whatever, like imitation. So I think Dvijamani had something. You had something to say about that? Virchandra? You had something else? Okay. Dvijamani? Okay.
Yes, I do. I'm just thinking of how to formulate, but you mentioned that detachment and knowledge, it's a text in the Bhagavatam, develops from serving Krishna. But how can we utilize that knowledge? What does it mean, knowledge of Krishna, when Krishna reveals himself to us? How can it be helpful for us and also to others? How can we take advantage of that knowledge?
Well, you have the knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna explains five main things in the Bhagavad Gita. Anyone want to raise their hand and say what one of those are? Okay, Govardhan. Time, okay. Dravida Prabhu. Ishvara, the Supreme Lord. The soul. Nature. Yeah, and karma. It's the nature of activities and yeah. So he explains these things. So if Krishna enlightened us from within our heart, it means that those things become a part of us, or they become realized, they become realized. And that's helpful because so much of the suffering in the world is, or as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, there is no lack of anything in the world, although there seems to be. Just like we were talking yesterday, sometimes people think there's a lack of food, but it's due to the mismanagement of the leaders of the world. So there is no lack of anything, but there's a lack of Krishna consciousness. So if we have that knowledge of Krishna, then we could share it with others. And it's very important. Just like if you have a book is kept alive by it being printed. And not just printed, but distributed. Then the book is kept alive. If you don't print, and if you don't distribute, the book can just practically die. Just like you have Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he could hardly find a Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's amazing, actually. So books could, just disappear. But also we should consider that there has to be people who know the books, who know what is in the books, who know what they're talking about. Or else we could say like a tradition could die. Just like the Sahajiyas, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we just read recently about him taking sannyas. I mean, he did it in a completely radical way. He initiated, I don't want to say initiated himself, but he had a picture of Gorkashore Das Babaji there. And then through the picture, he accepted sannyas. That's not done. That's not a traditional thing to do. And they asked him, well, why did you do that? And then he said, I didn't see anybody who was qualified, who was a devotee. I mean, who was a real, sincere, knowledgeable, pure devotee. So, and then you have Mahaprabhu's whole movement being hijacked by Sahajiyas. So that also, so in other words, it's important that we have knowledge to keep the tradition alive. That's why Srila Prabhupada stressed we need to study, we need to hear, to carry on. So those are some points. Yes, Dravida Prabhu.
Comment on that verse that you quoted, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga. By devotional service, he developed detachment and knowledge, and they work together. You know, I often give the example. I remember, I'm so old that I can remember when they first started putting that notice on the packets of cigarettes, warning: cigarette smoking can be hazardous to your health. Now it's even more. I think they have little pictures on there. You know, it's definitely hazardous. So they had to fight to do that. because obviously someone may read that and they won't buy a pack of cigarettes, so the producers didn't want to put it on. So the point is that knowledge supports your vairagya.
Yeah.
You may become detached just by developing devotional service, and you no longer, are interested in, illicit sex, say. But when you know that if you break these four regs, then your advancement will be halted. And you know why? Because you become attached to those things. Then that supports the detachment. And that's why it's so important to hear the books, to read the books by Prabhu, the books, because they give you the whole science. And if you accept it and you start chanting, then you begin to see yourself in the world through the books, and they work together. Jnana Vairagya. That's why it said there.
Yeah, very good point. It has that's how it's helpful. That the knowledge also helps one become detached from things that just cause suffering. So in that way it helps also. So there's All right, so we'll stop there. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.